that's a nitpick. It was a great evening anyway. So who do I invest with? What usually I find myself doing, I have done over the last 15 years since I've been angel investing, is I make dumb decisions because you invest with your heart. You don't really invest with the track record of the founder or the team. You really have to look hard into the product, look at if there's really patentable intellectual property there, and is there a long-term competitive advantage. And that's the second comment I'd make about tonight's presentations. Again, tiny nitpick, guys. You didn't tell us what your secret sauce was. In every presentation, I was wondering, now, they're going to tell me what their secret sauce is, why they're going to own the world. So you got to tell us a little bit more about that long-term competitive advantage that you have developed internally. I think Avinash did tell us a little bit about that because he's getting his stuff from this, he's master licensing it for 1.32 crores and they have the secret sauce. But you need to tell us a little bit more about that. A little bit about the market. You guys did a great stuff on that. And then the investor has to look at how can he or she exit. And there's the investor's paradox. Like I said, I made many mistakes because I invested with my heart, not my head. I stayed in areas, I went into areas I didn't know. And sometimes I went with a stampede because dumb money always follows smart money, both going in and coming out. And it's always too late. So don't get too greedy is but you know, most angels are not too greedy. They tend to be less tough on entrepreneurs than professional investors. And stay involved as an investor and help with contacts. That's the important thing for angels and investors to do. So, why is the level, as we talked a little bit earlier, of entrepreneurship, if there is a smooth as peanut butter on bread, this virus that infects people randomly across the world, why is the level of entrepreneurship different in different countries, cultures, even in different genders? Why are men more entrepreneurial than women? Or why are there more men entrepreneurs than women, for instance? Why is it different in different regions? We talked about the UK being the easiest in Europe to start a company. Well, if this entrepreneur virus is evenly spelled, the answer again is back to two factors. One is government, and the other is the culture and tradition of the environment that entrepreneur lives in, or is trying to build a company. Let's look at government, because local institutions matter. They are fundamentally the soil in which businesses thrive and grow. These institutions, government is needed to create them, the rules, the regulations, the oversight, the financial disclosures, all of which make it easy for investors to understand the businesses that they're investing in. Also need the rule of law and the ability to exit. They need honest and open, non-Harshad Mehta style stock markets. And they need to be able to protect their assets, their property, the intellectual property, and their contracts through the rule of law and the use of the courts. But the entrepreneur's paradox, there's a paradox in this. Local institutions extremely important. Government is needed. They needed to start and operate their businesses to safeguard their assets, but once they have done that, government needs to get the hell out of the way. They need to get rid of arcane regulations, delays, permits, courts, crony capitalism, of course, something that we're all familiar in India, which is corruption. Because even the most advanced nations are stuck with the stupidest, mind-numbing regulations and impediments to entrepreneurs. The World Bank, as James again said, you know, you stole a lot of my speech there, James. The World Bank does an annual study. It's called the Doing Business Study, and it looks at 183 countries. And it looks at a whole variety of factors in developing the one that is the ease of doing business rank. About the difficulty of starting a business, getting electricity, getting credit, resolving bankruptcies, enforcing contracts, protecting investors. The whole host of factors are looked at by the World Bank in this study to determine which is the most entrepreneur-friendly country, ranked 1 through 183. If you look at France, you think France is a very developed country, it ranks 29. Not too bad. But the OECD countries, there's about 30 of them, and they should be much better than that. And if you look at even France, 149th in the difficulty of registering property. 79th in protecting investors. Even Germany, the great Germany, the economic miracle of the last couple of years when the world's been going to hell in a handbasket. 19th overall, not bad, but 97th in protecting investors. You look at India down there, we're 132nd. Almost in every category, we lag. And it's really a fun, it's a real testimony to the power and cleverness and all of the good qualities of our entrepreneurs that we do as well as we do. We're 132nd in the world. We're behind countries like Benin and Nigeria and Bangladesh in the ease of doing business. Who do you think is the most, and the US, let's say, is the fourth? And it's not the first because of only one factor. You can see it, it's ranked 72nd in the tax code it has. It's the most complex, arcane tax code of almost any country that I know of, and I've been to many of them. But it is a very easy country to do business, and the venture culture, not the culture of venture, is very strong. Between venture capitalists and angels, 60 billion a year is invested in startups. Now, can anyone take a guess which ranks number one consistently year in and year out? Singapore. Absolutely. Singapore ranks number one because the government, the institutions that the government has set up, make it the most business-friendly country in the world. But then why is Singapore not the most entrepreneurial country in the world? It may be the most entrepreneur-friendly, but it's certainly not the most entrepreneurial country. Singapore, in fact, pays you, bribes you, in a legal sense, to take your business there, because there's not enough people who are entrepreneurial. In fact, a year and a half ago, I was in Singapore, and when there's a very, very senior placed official, and name dropping is a bad thing, so I won't name drop, offered me, I have a software company in Silicon Valley, and it was $1 million to just up them and move them. And they would pay for the moving expenses on top of that. Well, it's not the most entrepreneurial country in the world because of its culture and its traditions, because safe and stable careers are celebrated. The culture says, like in our country, Doctor bano beta, engineer bano. Koi dhanda mat karna. Safe and stable careers are celebrated, and the risk of failure is so great. Failure is excoriated in these countries. The culture, the millennia-old feudal culture of Western Europe and of Asia makes it difficult, suppresses that entrepreneurial desire. In fact, I applaud Ankur and his 5 compadres for breaking free of that pressure. Yes, I also used to work for ITT, so I am an IIT Delhi graduate. You broke free from that. You broke free from the cultural pressure to go work for Goldman Sachs or go work for some large company, because that suppression of desire makes you live your life like a caged animal. And I was a caged animal for 20 years, till I finally broke free at the age of 40, well, it was 18 years, and decided to start my own company, and now I've done 5. So it takes sometimes that ability to break free and let your virus totally infect you. So in the end, you just got to do it, as Nike says to say. The final act of preparing is to quit preparing. So as long as you younger folks have more time on your hand than money, go spend your time. Try to build a business, try to start one, so fall and fail. And maybe, the culture will excoriate that failure, but who cares? I mean, that virus is strong in most of you who are that way. Don't be afraid to take some risks, and don't be afraid to fail. Because it is the entrepreneur that has saved the world time and time again. When you think about what happened after the US Civil War in the mid-1860s, when the world was in doldrums, it's the entrepreneur that created the Industrial Revolution. Saved the world, changed the way we live. These are legends we make movies about, we talk about. People like Edison and McCormick and Carnegie and Henry Ford and the Wright brothers, they came about. And if you think about it, once again,